OK， 好。AJ 啊，这个非常迷人的男人，今天在我们的现场，你知道吗？我们跟他谈一谈，从他本身的经历，就是呢，我们俗称的拍伊娜，到现在呢，他可是一个公益组织的推广、社区关系的推广总监呐。而这个呢，社区推广总监呢，这一路走来真的是非常非常的辛苦啊。那么呢，现在这个组织呢，也被白宫跟众议院呢公认为呢是一个非常棒的认可的一个组织，叫做 End Overdose。让我们欢迎 AJ。
说小点再说重点，有点古怪，绝对真诚，完全没有坏心眼。Nosy， 没有一点坏心眼。Nosy Nugget， 我是王力奇，先过今天再说明天，个人品味就是要随心所欲。人家总说我应该有个方向，但我偏要把规则全部反向，走的分量才是我的本相。Nosy Nugget， Nosy Nugget， 重点是麻烦说重点。啦啦啦啦。
欢迎我们的 AJ。Hi AJ，How are you?
I'm doing good, doing good.
You are
thank
so
you.
cool, you know. Introduce yourself.
I will.
The cool
and
things.
Tracy, thank you so much to bringing me down here to Nosy Nuggets. Cowie, special shout out to you. I really appreciate you having me here. So my name is AJ, and I am Director of Community Engagement and Training at End Overdose. So End Overdose is a 501c3 nonprofit organization based in Los Angeles, California, working to fight against drug-related overdose deaths through education, medical intervention, and public awareness. So just a little bit about me. I've been with the organization for 4 years. I currently have 4 years clean and sober. Mm-hmm. I do have a history of substance use, also like being incarcerated in that. My story is just a testament to change, that change is possible, that people can change.
Encourage your story.
Encourage, right? And I just want to offer hope to individuals. Like if you're struggling, like it's going to be okay. It's going to be all right, and hopefully if you hear my story, a little bit of what I talk about, what I do, that just gives you a little bit of hope that you could change on your end, and, just want to let you know that, we don't have to do this alone. We have help available to us. You just have to ask for help, and it's going to be there. So, thank you for having me here. I really appreciate it. In college, you have to study, you have to stay up, right? You're going to stay up. What helps you do that, right? Stimulants, and there's a lot of college students that use Adderall, right? Adderall's amphetamine, and what Adderall allows you, it stays up, right? Keeps you alert, but the big problem is, they're passing off a lot of counterfeit pills that are laced with fentanyl, right? And now we have a very real situation. Now we have somebody that's at risk for an opioid overdose, right? They might think that they're getting something else. Hey, I think I'm getting this Adderall. Tracy, hey, I got this Adderall from Tracy, right? But it's not a prescription. It wasn't prescribed for me. I don't know where you got it. I don't know where the person you got it from got it. And chances are, right, it's counterfeit and it's laced with fentanyl. And the next thing you know, they took the substance. Next thing you know, they've overdosed. Say they're with a group of friends, right? Nobody knows what's going on.
Yeah.
Right? Nobody knows what's going on. What we have no idea.
They want to
panic,
pack
right?
the team, just say,
right,
hey,
exactly.
I want to enjoy.
Yeah.
So I do not ask anymore. Right.
Right, exactly. So it's a very real situation that individuals could find themselves in, and we see and hear about it all the time, an accidental overdose. They took a substance. They didn't know that what they were taking contained fentanyl in it, right? Very real problem that we're seeing. They might think it's Oxycontin, Percocet, something else. They're lacing a majority of street drugs with fentanyl. This includes cocaine, heroin, and methamphetamine, right? Very, very big issue that we're starting to see, that we see in our communities.
All the word that you just said, I don't think the Asians community, the Chinese, the parents know anything about it. That's the reason why we want to raise this question, because I think that a lot of, this is my personal opinion, I think that a lot of children, a lot of high school kids, junior high, they got bullied in the school, right? They don't even know.
A lot of times it's peer pressure, right? If they're with a group of friends, a lot of them are in the, EDM community, you know, and it could be peer pressure, it could be friends, you know, they go over to a friend's house. You just never know.
Yeah.
Right? You just never know. And you know, even individuals at a young age, like we're going to make our own choices, right? We're developing our minds, you know, we're exploring things, you know, and substance use is a very real topic that somebody could run into, right? You know, we set the market for the biggest drug consumption in the world, right? That's the United States. That's here in our backyards, LA County, you know, very, very, very real problem that we could see and that we could face, you know, and especially like our youth. Like I was a young addict from a young age, you know, 12, 13 years old, you know, using methamphetamine, right? Started with weed and then alcohol and then eventually, you know, pills, inhalants with NOS, you know, and eventually on the harder drugs, methamphetamine. I was young at the time, you know, and there's times when I go train high schools and middle schools and I'm like, man, what I think back on it and I think it, I'm just like, man, like I was these individuals' age, right? Like I was their age when I was exploring with substances. Right, exactly. Exactly. And it's like, man, like I was really, really young. You know, I look at these kids, I'm like, man, they're so tiny. You know?
Yeah.
But the fact is, like, that was me. I was using drugs at a young age. How was it feeling? It was a euphoric feeling. You know, the first time I did drugs, it was weed. I was in
somebody interested.
No, it was the fifth grade. I was in the fifth grade, going to sixth grade, right? Wow. And so a friend of mine, we knew his parents smoked weed, right? So they had a roach, pot. So it was all the leftovers from the joints and that. So I remember we're like, hey, we're gonna save up our money and we're gonna order pizza
something cool,
and we're gonna do something. We're gonna get high, you know. We're gonna get high, and man, so like
similar.
You know, I remember being nervous. I was afraid. You know what I mean? Because I was like, oh, who knows what's going to happen, you know? You know, Dare was coming around, scare tactics, you know, like, oh, we're going to die, you know what I mean? But that still wasn't enough for me to stop, right? That still wasn't enough for me to be like, no, I'm going to put this down, right? I was curious, and I remember getting high, and I remember, like, all my problems, all my feelings, right, were just lifted, right, you know? And I enjoyed it. You know, and eventually that led to me, you know, smoking every day, taking a hit here, taking a hit there, you know, all through middle school. And then towards the end of middle school, alcohol came into the picture, right? A lot of us were underage. We were drinking. We used to go to ditch parties, you know. You know, we get alcohol from, you know, people. Parents would keep their alcohol in the cabinet. You know, we drink that. We had ways of getting alcohol at a young age, right? Family members would buy us alcohol, you know. So
so the same.
Yeah.
So you just back to the early day. Right now, you become the leader from the End Overdose.
End Overdose.
End Overdose.
Yep. End Overdose, yeah.
Can you talk about that?
Yeah. So just to kind of back up on my background a little bit, and we'll get into that. It was just a whole life experience, right? I'm really grateful for my mistakes that I made in life. You know, growing up, you know, drugs and alcohol were regular in the household. Grew up in a gang environment, right? The family I grew up in, it wasn't normal by society standards at all. You know, I've gotten high with my parents, with my mom, with my dad, with my brother, and you know, that was normal. You know. And, you know, eventually, you know, getting in trouble in the neighborhood that I grew up in, like that's just the way that I was brought up, you know? And so anyways, I'm really grateful for my experience, you know. I was an absent father for a really long time because of my drug use. You know, I have a history of drug use. I currently have 4 years clean and sober right now. But, you know, I decided to get help. I went into treatment. And things kind of just, you know, doors started to open for me after treatment. I was working at BJ's right here down the street in Pasadena. And, you know, I met this gentleman who had the same background as me. And, you know, I offered a hand help just like somebody did for me. I was like, hey, man, I work at BJ's. Do you need a job? You know, he's like, yeah, man, I need a job. So I ended up getting him a job. And we hit it off really good. We hit it off really, really good. So anyways, one day we're at work and he's like, hey man, I know somebody that has this company called End Overdose. Do you want to come pack Narcan kits? And I'm like, yeah, fuck yeah, let's go. So that was my introduction to End Overdose here. I remember coming here to these offices here, and I met Theo, who's the CEO. He's a LA County firefighter paramedic. And, I remember him saying just like, hey man, I want you guys to pack, I think it was like 200 kits. And I want you guys to pack 200 kits, right? So, we got to packing, and I remember packing kits, and I remember, we were so excited. We're like, man, like each one of these is meant to save a life, right? Because that's exactly what that kit is meant for. That kit isn't meant exactly to save a life, right? We want to pack it up, get it, and send it off to where it needs to go, And I remember him coming in. He was like, man, you guys are done? We're like, yeah, man, we're done. He's like, cool, man, I want you guys to come in once a week. And then eventually it was like, 2-3 times a week. And
volunteer.
And yeah, but, and then eventually he was paying us, whatever he could at the time. And eventually that led to, hey, I'm going to show you customer service. I'm going to show you how to do online orders. I'm going to show you how to answer these emails. And then eventually I was like, hey, do you want to do trainings? Do you want to learn how to do trainings? And I was like, yeah. And it was just like, yes for everything. Like, yeah. It was all new opportunities. And kind of fast forward to where we're at now. I have a title with the organization. It's director.
Leader,
which is a director of community engagement and training at End Overdose. I'm the lead trainer for End Overdose. I do a lot of naloxone trainings. That's one of the services that we provide. It's a free service. If anybody's interested, you could check out our website, endoverdose.net. But basically what I do is we have an opioid overdose prevention and response training. So we show up. Basically, the objectives of that training is just so that we have a better understanding of the opioid epidemic, the physiological effects of opioids, right? What's happening, what's occurring when you ingest opioids, what's happening during an overdose, right? We also talk about preventive measures with fentanyl test strips, and then also, the Good Samaritan law. A lot of people might be afraid, to call 911, but we get into, we kind of delve into that, explain a little bit of what that is, and then we get into the signs and symptoms, right? What to look for, how to identify and how to respond, what to look for, what to do, how to administer intranasal naloxone to continued care.
So just like a CPR.
Yes, it's very, very similar, right? It's very similar. We're stopping, we're assessing the situation. What are we looking for? What do we do? And not only that, like after we complete the training, we also distribute naloxone. So naloxone is the medication that they use to reverse an opioid overdose, which is also known as Narcan. Narcan is just a brand name of naloxone, just like Tylenol is to ibuprofen. But we just use a generic name for the medication because we carry all sorts of different naloxone. We got intramuscular, intranasal, but different brands. So we prefer to use the generic name for the medication. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you just educate.
Yeah. Yep. Educate. We really
just
believe
give
in
our community.
Yep. Educate. We love to educate. We have a few different online resources. I mentioned our opioid overdose prevention and response training. We also have an opioid use disorder, just so that we have an understanding of the addictive properties, and then an anti-stigma video to kind of destigmatize opioid use, right? The addiction aspects of it. And those are free, available online. We also have training in Spanish. You could check it out on our YouTube channel at End Overdose. But we really believe in the educational aspect, right? Like, it's one thing for me to give you this, right?
The water.
To give you this medication. Well, pretend it's medication. I'll give you this medication right there. And it's another thing for, like, hey, how do I use this, right? How do I use this medication? I just use that as an example, but you're like the water, I drink it,
Just the basic counter, come there,
right.
how to use it, for the safety.
Right, and what to look for, right? A lot of people, we were talking earlier about if somebody's with a group of friends, and say they're trying things, somebody overdoses, nobody knows what's happening, right? Nobody knows what to look for, the signs and symptoms, right? And that's the educational aspect that we bring to it, right? We show you, we're going to educate you and show you what to look for. Like, these are the signs and symptoms of an opioid overdose. Once you recognize these signs, these are the steps that you take. And then we also give you the medication. We also give you the medication for free. We'll mail it right to your door. Yep.
My producers say you have some experience for your background. Just speak it just a little bit. Yeah, from the beginning.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
So can you, just how do you just face to yourself, oh, I have a drug problem, and you realize I needed to get help, and where I can get help. Sometimes like Chinese people, or my family, we have the drug problem too. My family members. I'll be honest.
Yeah, we gotta be honest. We gotta be honest. Everybody struggles.
But you know why?
Yeah.
Okay, the first about this point, and the second point, we don't want to talk.
It's the shame, right? It's very shameful.
Yes.
You bring shame to the family.
Yeah, and then
right?
you just when he got crazy, we need to hold him and say, hey, calm down. I don't know how to do.
Yeah.
So how do we just get help in something? To talk. I need help. And
I think that's where it starts, right? It has to start with the individual wanting to get help. The things
it's
you're
not
talking
drug,
about,
just wine something, just everything.
Just the things that you're talking about, right? I put my family through, for years, over 15 years. Over 15 years, I have lived experience. I have over 15 years. I've overdosed. Somebody did their part to save my life, in and out of institutions, and
Institution.
My experience and my addiction, my disease came at a cost. I lost my will to live. I didn't care if I lived or if I died. I was in a very, very dark place, right? An attempted suicide, and there was something in me that I was just so tired of the way that I was living.
Your body not balanced. I know.
Just mentally, spiritually, physically, it was all aspects. I was so tired. I was tired, and they call it
Why?
They call it this point of desperation. And I was so tired of going in and out of prison, of not being there for my son, not being there for my family, right? My family didn't want me around, because
so you don't want to deal with anyone.
Nobody wanted to deal with me, and I felt so alone. Nobody wanted to deal with me. Nobody wanted to deal with me because all the bullshit I brought.
Yes.
Can we cuss on here?
Yeah, sometimes.
My apologies.
Yeah, sometimes. And then,
all the bullshit that I brought.
The same feeling. I don't want to deal with my family. The drug things.
But here's
the
thing,
my God.
Right?
You just left everything. Everything.
I didn't want to deal with my family either. The only people who are dealing with other drug addicts. With other drug addicts. You know what I mean? Because I'm getting high with them. You know what I mean? They got dope. I got dope.
And they do everything. I don't care.
I don't care. You know what I mean? Like we're all in the same boat right here.
Like at the beautiful age, 15 years old. Okay.
Yeah, and that's what I need.
Yeah, I can do the big something.
And
I know.
I'm really grateful for my experience, and just just having to ask for help. My brother. So my brother actually played a part in me going into treatment. So it was Easter. I was high. I didn't know I didn't know it was Easter. There's a family party going on out there, and my brother was incarcerated at the time. So my brother called me, and he's like, "Hey, you're high already, huh?" And I forgot how my brother, And I'm like, "Yeah." And he's like, "Look, man, I know somebody that works at this facility. Why don't you give him a call?" So I took the number. And I didn't call right away, or I was still doing my thing. And anyways, I was on federal probation at the time, and I was in the halfway house. So I was at the halfway house, and I've been there before. Like I know how to beat the system there. I get high. I know how to beat it. I know my way around there, and I know I'm gonna mess up there. And there was something in me. I was like, man, I remember having this conversation with my son, who was he was 12, and I was like, look, son, I could stay here. And I kind of dressed it up. I was like, oh yeah, you could come see me. We could play board games. We could barbecue. I was like, or, Dad has a problem. I was like, I could go to this other place and work on my problem. What do you want me to do? And he was like, Dad, I want you to work on your problem. And I was just like, fuck. There was something in me. I was just like, damn. There was something in me. I was just like, fuck, man.
It's just something that punctured you.
Yeah, there was something in me that was just like, oh man,
I know.
I believe in God, and looking back at this process, it was like, man, this was God working in my life without me knowing. And so, anyways, I picked up the number and I called, and I'm grateful for that recovery center that I went into, and that's when I really started to see that I had a problem, right? Like I have to address that there is a problem before I get into a solution. You know, I have to admit to myself that hey man, I have a problem, that I'm an addict, I'm a drug addict, you know, which is very, very important. You
so
know,
how long the treatment?
You know, and so I was there for like 4 months, and then
4 months.
Yeah, I was in treatment for around 4 months, and then, you know, there's a whole system going in treatment, and then I went to IOP. You know, I attended 5 days a week. There's certain requirements that they had me do there, you know, 12-step fellowship and stuff like that. And you know, I did those things. You know, I started to do those things. Got a job, you know, working at BJ's, and you know, eventually this right here, was going to school for a little bit, and yeah, and
Just back to normal.
Back to normal. I got 4 years right now. You know,
wow.
my sobriety date, my clean date is April 21st, 2021. Currently working on 5 years. And yeah, you know, but those experiences, like I hold on to those. You know, I don't want to forget where I came from. I don't want to forget what I was feeling. You know what I mean? Especially nowadays. You know, especially now, because it's really easy for me to forget that. You know, but I have to remember those negatives, feeling the consequences, right? I have to hold on to those, because I don't ever want to go back to that. You know, I don't want to go back to that. And life is really, really good now. Life is good today.
But you know what, AJ, in and out recovery center.
Yeah.
You just recover again, and you know, you back to normal, and somebody says, "Hey, buddy."
Yeah.
You know.
And I can only speak from my experience, right? Like, you know, I was gonna do what I was gonna do regardless. You know, that's just the way that I grew up. You know, I was making my own choices, right? I didn't really care about the consequences, you know, and to be honest with you, I didn't know what I was doing was wrong, right? You know, like I remember like my dad going to prison. I remember, you know, my dad getting high. Like that was normal in the household that I grew up in, you know, and it wasn't until I got older, right, until recently, that I had to look back and like, man, like that wasn't normal at all, you know. But what I'm trying to get across is like, you know, people are going to make their individual choices regardless, right? You know, my son's 16, you know, and I talked to him about this. I'm like, look, son, like this is the stuff that's out there right now, right? I'm letting you know so that you can make the best decision for yourself, right? It's a different day and age from what it was when I was out there getting high, when I was getting loaded, right? It's a lot more dangerous nowadays. I didn't have to worry about this. I didn't have to worry about fentanyl. You know, son, I'm letting you know this is what's out there. You know what I mean? I've lost friends from this stuff. You know, there's a lot of people that lose a lot of loved ones. Like, this is what's out there. I'm giving you this information, right? I'm equipping you with this information so that you can make a better choice for yourself, right? You know what I mean? And it's just having those conversations, right? You know, just having those normal conversations with them, you know, and I understand, like, he's going to make his own choices.
How's your son look at you right now? I mean, he's 16.
Man, my son's 16, and you know, my son's just happy to have his dad. You know, compared to before. Well, I'm gonna be completely honest. I wasn't there. I was not there. I wasn't there for my son. I was not. I would pick him up and I would go drop him off at my grandmother's house, and I would take off. I was an absent dad. You know, and you know, I was only out for a little bit of time, and then I'd go back to prison. You know, I was back and forth. And you know, I'd spend maybe a couple of weeks with him, and then that was it. I was doing my thing again. You know, I was high, doing the same shit that I used to do with the same people. You know, and I think he's really, really proud to have me here today. You know, just to be there for him. So, and I'm really happy that I get to be there for him today too. So, yeah.
So I know, you know, I have one more question. You know, I think that few years ago, because I do the news reporter, and they say, hey, in the New York, you know, we will avoid some people to do the bad thing to get a drug. So put a machine in the corner so you can get it, what you want. The government just provide the machine. You know, I think, so it's crazy. What do you think?
So I mean,
the facilities in New York.
Yeah, New York. You know the news, right?
They provide you the drugs because they think.
Yeah, they think. Yeah, you need it, the home, like the homeless, right?
Yeah.
And you need it.
Yeah.
I provide you for free.
Yeah.
avoid you to get robbed something, or you to do the bad things to get a drug, to get the money to buy drug.
Well, there's many different services.
It's ridiculous, right?
Well, one thing too is called medicated assisted treatment, right? That's Suboxone, buprenorphine, and there are studies that show that it is promising, right? But it's not giving us, like, I'm not giving you heroin, or I'm not giving you fentanyl. You know, it
should be good. Okay, give it
medication,
some, just to give candy. Yeah.
Right. So, you know, there are those services, right? That do show, that are promising, that help people get off of, you know, harder drugs, right? But, you know, in regards to that, you know, we understand, us as an organization, we understand that there is a real problem, right? And we are coming up with a logical solution. Like, this is the problem that we're facing in our communities. This is the problem that we're facing in our society. This is our solution, right? And our solution is to educate and to get life-saving resources out there, right? And it's a very practical solution. We've been able to train, you know, thousands of individuals, thousands of doses of medication out there. You know, we've really been able to do some amazing things, you know. So
I just wondering, you know, I just talk about the Chinese, the education or background is so different. Okay, in my family, okay, like my kid is 10 years old. And he just the YouTuber, you know, just wow, the YouTuber is so cool, can do everything, can sing, can play, you know, can do crazy thing. And one day he asked Mom, what is it? What is it called? Like the some drugs name, you know, just take it and they just, you know, can head 摇头丸. You know, just take it and can shake it, it's so high.
Is it ecstasy or Molly or MDMA or?
Yeah, it is. Hey, Mom, it's so fun, you know? Can I take something? You know?
Fentanyl is very different. Fentanyl is like.
Yeah, exactly. Right. Fentanyl, it's a central nervous system depressant, right?
Yeah, just
right.
So different.
Your breathing slows, motor skills are slowed, right? Yeah, so it is a different substance, right? It is a different effect produced.
Yeah, but because I'm the Chinese parents, I say, shh. Where you learn from? You know, I said, don't talk about
Where'd you learn that from?
Yeah, it's just only 10 years old, you know? And I think it's so similar in the Chinese community, you know, because every parents just focus the education, focus your your score, activity, something in the good or not, is A plus or double A something. You know?
Yeah.
Well, what drug? No. In the words, no drugs.
Yeah.
You know, either afraid to talk about it. You know, don't know how to talk about it.
Well, that's the thing, right? It's like, don't be afraid to talk about it. You know, have those conversations.
Yeah, because we don't know.
You know, you need to have those. You know, your son learned that from somewhere, right? You know, your son's seen that on social media, wherever he's seen that, right? He came and talked to you, and you shut him down.
So hard.
You shut him down. Hey, you know, you're like, right. You know, and it's just like, hey, you know,
I take a panic. How do you know?
Maybe wait till he's a little older, a couple of years, but have those conversations with him. Like, hey, these are substances. These are what they do. These are how they affect your brain, right? But you know, it's the power of conversation, right? Just sitting down, you know, being non-judgmental, you know, taking the time to talk to your child, you know, and I think that goes a long way. And just like I talked to my son, it was just like, hey man, like I'm letting you know this is what's out there. These are the tools, so that you're able to make a better decision, you know, in your life. So
you need to open your mind and talk to him.
Be open-minded and talk, have those conversations.
I don't think the Chinese Asians community have ever had this kind of events going on to educate the parents. So they have no clue because they think that they are well protected. The kids are well protected. They don't need this kind of information. That's my understanding.
Yes.
So they think that my kids is gonna be perfect.
Right.
Yeah.
The score. To the elite school. I don't think our kids have any problem.
Go to college, you know. Yeah.
Perfect.
Yeah.
But there was one case that a friend of mine did with his friend. He's Asian too. He's Filipino, I think. So he's a strong man and actor. And my friend was that guy was so funny. He's a funny guy. He never checked with his roommate. But what happened was he don't think that he having drugs at all. But I think he has some anxiety going on. So he took some drugs. So few weeks later, my friend was like, "Where's this my roommate?" And he could try to find his roommate. But what happened was, the door is closed, always closed. You see what's going on these few weeks. So he didn't even care about asking or knock the door.
Check up on him,
Yeah, that guy is funny. He's just so him then, okay? So anyway, so until 2.5 weeks later, he smelled something.
Oh my God.
Right. You get that scent.
He
Are you
smelled
kidding?
something. He's like,
What's
what
that
the
smell?
F was that?
It's bad. Yeah.
So he was like, this is not right. So he break the door. He got in. He realized he's dead. So it was half
Decomposing already.
Okay.
Yeah.
So he
腐败了，尸体腐败了，腐化了，
So he called the police for this considered as is a death there.
Yeah,
so
right.
he cannot. He has to. For that night, the police might think that he might be a suspect too, right? At the time. So he called me and said, "Can I go to your house?" I said, "Not tonight because you consider as a suspect." I'm so sorry, but until you clear it, and then you are allowed to come in.
Right.
I go by the law.
Cowie, typical Cowie.
No, it's true that it's not that I don't want to, but because I have roommate too.
Right.
She feels uncomfortable.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
okay, I'm fine. And he freaked out. I was like, God, they're all my friends. And but the next day I was like, okay, let's talk then, no? Okay. So I said, what's going on? He said he's overdose. I said, what kind of overdose? He said some pills, like anxiety pills. And he just, I said, I bet he took with liquor, wine, or whatever.
altogether.
Yeah.
Yeah, pure with the
makes
water.
sense.
Yeah.
Just drop and then he's gone.
Oh wow. Wow.
And you, idiot, not even open the door and lock the door. You might have rescued, maybe he's unconscious.
Maybe,
for a few
yeah.
days.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, if that's the type of relationship you have, like, hey, knock, what's up, man? You all right?
Exactly.
You okay? You know?
See, well, I
Yeah.
own my own business. And no, such a my own
Yeah.
business. You gotta take care if you have find out that if your friends.
You gotta check up on them, man. You gotta check up on your friends, you know?
So this is part of the experience that I learned from my friend. That's why I don't really care about people who overdose with any drugs. Doesn't matter. Even in Tylenol.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah. Kind of to talk about preventive measures, and one of the things that we offer at End Overdose. I know we're kind of talking about like pills and that. So one thing we like to educate individuals on are fentanyl test strips. Fentanyl test strips can be used on. It could detect small amounts of fentanyl in a substance, and it could be used on any substance that dissolves in water, right? So if anything, we're talking about, say somebody's written a prescription, they run out, right?
If anything is fentanyl.
Yeah, and they
Okay.
ask a friend, a neighbor,
Fentanyl.
they get something down the street till they refill their prescription, right? A lot of times we don't know where that pill came from. It could be counterfeit.
Yeah.
So fentanyl test strips, what they do is you could detect small amounts of fentanyl in the substance. Also like in powder or anything like that, stuff like that. And we offer that just as a preventive measure, right? So you could, the thing with fentanyl is you can't see it, you can't taste it, you can't smell it. So say I have this pill right here, I have no idea that it's in there, and when I take it, I didn't know that it was in there. So we like to educate, and we also distribute fentanyl test strips as well. And we just use that as a preventive measure, right?
How?
Yeah, as a preventive measure. So, yeah.
Okay. So you will educate the
Yeah,
kids.
we educate. Yeah, and we distribute those resources as well. Yeah.
Maybe you should organize an event, have AJ come here to train the parents.
The training parents, how many, the kind of the drugs,
Help
and
the organization.
and you know what, you fifth grade attend to sixth grade, so you just take the drugs,
Right. Yeah.
so young. I'm so surprised.
So young. Our goal is to train as many people as we can in the U.S. Get these life-saving resources to everyone. The goal is to work with maybe all the states. Become a staple in education. Naloxone, opioids. Different substances, and becoming a resource center if you need something, if you want to come get educated, you can come to End Overdose, If you're interested in seeing our organization, you could always visit our website, www.endoverdose.net. We have a free online training, opioid use disorder, destigmatizing video as well. And you could view those at endoverdose.net. We also mail out free naloxone and free fentanyl test strips. So if you're interested, come visit us at endoverdose.net. We are a 501c3 nonprofit. We do appreciate all donations. That's how we keep our services up and running and free to others. And we really, really need the community's help with supporting us as an organization. And you could donate at endoverdose.net.
Yeah. Okay. So one day maybe have the Chinese there.
Even?
Yeah.
You can buy a few parents come here.
Yeah, absolutely. So we're recognized by the White House of our services with Insomniac. So one of the things that we do is we also work in the festival and event space. So we partner with big promoters like Insomniac, AJ Golden Voice. And what we've been able to do is we've been able to take our opioid overdose response training and bring it on site to festivals and events, So like EDC, it's our biggest festival. We'll be at Coachella week 1, week 2, Stagecoach. And it's really, really awesome that we're able to do this, right? So, the age from those most affected from overdose deaths is like 18 to 45. That's the age demographic. And there's no better way to connect with that audience than a music festival. It's a fun, engaging environment, right? It's a fun, engaging way to incorporate public health as well. So we got recognized for the work that we've been able to do at like festivals and events and that. So that was really, really awesome on our part, and being able to work alongside Insomniac and do that.
Now your story gonna be bring the love and hope and the shining. It can change the life.
Yeah. Hope is so important. Hope is so important. That small piece of hope that change is possible. So,
yeah. I didn't know it was Easter. Family somewhere I couldn't reach. Brother calling from inside, says he knows a guy, says trust me. Halfway house, federal time. I knew the tricks, I knew the lie. Knew how to beat it every time. Also knew I'd lose my life. I didn't know it was grace, just felt the way. Didn't call it God, but he showed up late. I didn't know I was lost till I stopped trying to escape. Told my son I could stay, play games, grill, make it fine. Or I could go fix my problem. Tell me, kid, which life's mine? He said, Dad, work on you. That hit harder than a cell. I dressed hell up like comfort. He saw straight through the spell. I didn't know it was grace, just felt the floor drop out from under everything I swore. I didn't know I was sick till I said it plain. I got a problem, was a start of change. Picked up the number, hands shook. Didn't feel holy, just done being hooked. I didn't know it was God moving quiet in me, but truth cracked the door and let me breathe.